Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello and welcome to the latest episode. It's Friday, the 10th of July, 2026, and an enormous congratulations to us if you are in the UK, because we've had the most hot and exhausting and sweaty and tiring week ever. So well done us for making it through to Friday. Quite honestly, I am so tired. The heat is just relentless. It's so draining. I've been on the plot all evening, and I was actually going to record this episode up there, but because it's such a beautiful night and it's all nice and warm, all of the boy racers came out, and then half an hour later all the police came out to chase the boy racers up and down the dual carriageway. So it was not possible to do that, but I was up on the field in my pajamas because honestly I just can't even seem to cope with normal shorts. So I thought I'll put my pajama bottoms on. Nobody's going to see me. It'll be absolutely fine. And nobody is ever there, so it's not a problem. And I was much, much cooler. Yeah, I know we're all struggling with the weather this week. I'm seeing some Instagram posts where people are just, cutting all of their flowers and just they're in the wheelbarrow and they're off to the compost heap. And it's so sad. Things are just going over so quickly, even with experience. It's causing problems. It's catching people out. And it's not even a lack of water, it's just the sheer intensity of the sun. Now, my field is cool until midday, which is amazing, but then it absolutely bakes until the sun goes down. So it gets all of the afternoon and the evening sun, and it's completely relentless. Now, I did move some items that I've still got in pots on drip trays inside the studio, aka Kylie's room, just purely to get them out of the intense glare of the sunshine, because Lion has still got the parasol. And the water situation up there is absolutely critical at the moment. We're going to go and get more water tomorrow and fill up one of the IBCs from an external water source. I can't manage any longer until the rain supposedly is coming, I think next weekend, but it's not guaranteed. And we've got to a point now, it's the Royal Week, I have got to a point now where the levels are so critically low that I can't really do very much more, and I have to keep some back obviously for the ducks. So the chickens hardly get through any water, but the ducks get through a fair bit every day, and I recycle that water back onto the sweet peas, but they obviously need fresh water. And at this time of year they get through a couple of bowls a day, and they've also got a paddling pool because they need to be able to get in and cool themselves down. They actually seem less bothered than the chickens by the heat, even when they've made a mess of all of their waters, because they just ruin everything within about an hour of me putting it out. I have actually just bought myself a water pump. So if you listen regularly, you will know that when I ran out of water last year, I actually, my other half helped me. He's got a transit van, and he actually bought me water from his house. He filled up all of the wheelie bins that he had and filled it up from the tap and drove it to the field. And then initially we used buckets and watering cans to transfer the water in the wheelie bins inside the transit van to the IBC. And then he went and bought a pump so that we could do it that way, which was much faster and much easier, because the whole plot is on a slope. So it was pretty epic trying to carry buckets up a slope. And then I had to stand on the IBC and lift the buckets and pour them into the little hole. So it was pretty epic. And eventually he just had enough of that. So he bought a pump, which is great. But I'm not allowed to use it. He has to use it. And I was thinking the other day, I just turned 46. Like I'm old enough to own my own pump now. So I have bought one because he doesn't trust me with his, and quite right too, because I would probably break it. He's worried about me using it to suck up water that's not clean, and the dirty water will get in and destroy the motor. And he's quite right. That would possibly happen. And he's bought a really good quality one. He doesn't want to have it ruined. So I can't argue with that. But I thought, well, I really don't want to have to use this thing like just under supervision, like I'm a child. So I'm going to go and buy my own. So I've bought a budget option, and it's coming in a couple of days because I've got a real hankering to just do watering a little bit differently. And now that I've got so much on the field, which I didn't have this time last year where we had a heat wave, and I really need to be able to do things a little bit differently. So I thought I'm going to get my own pump, and if I ruin it, then it's on me. And it was a guilt-free purchase. I'm excited to tell you, because now I've set up these pots in my business bank account. It shows me what I've got in my expenses pot, which is money that can be spent on things. And then I've got a capital expenditure pot where I can make larger purchases. That is not quite enough money in that particular pot, but there's enough money in the expenses at the moment to get this pump. So I've just gone and done it, and I will let you know how I get on with that. Now, it hasn't all been doom and gloom this week, although there is a lot of doom and gloom because I'm just so exhausted from the heat. But I had a new florist come and buy from me this week, Ali from the garden room. She's about half an hour away from me. So she ordered some stems for a bouquet that she'd had an order for, and she also came for a tour, and it was great, wonderful to meet her. She's a lovely lady. Florist buying for bouquets always makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest, because I'm so used to working with my wedding and event florist, and I know that the stems have to look perfect for one day, and then it doesn't matter what happens to them after that. So I found that easier as a beginner to be able to supply things that just had to look open and amazing for the day. It did not matter what stage I cut them at, as long as they looked fabulous. Obviously not at the point of going over, but I didn't have to worry about all the sort of bud crack stage and all of this stuff, which I'm still getting my head around. So I just found that much easier. But when you know that you're cutting for a bouquet, and the florist is obviously going to pick up, the day before she makes it and gives it to the end user, and of course the end user is then hopefully going to have it for at least a week in their house, you have to be a little bit more aware of the stage of the flower that you're cutting at. I do anyway. So that's just a bit of a new one for me, and I had to bear that in mind when I was doing the cuts. And then obviously it's tricky in this kind of weather because you're never sure. I'm not sure yet, because I'm so new at all this, how the flowers are actually going to perform when they've been cut and what conditions they're going to be going in. Now, Ali's got air conditioning in her studio, which is amazing. So you know that while the flowers are with her, they're going to be at a cool temperature. But you just don't know what sort of place the flowers are going to end up in, and if it's a really, really hot place, and if they all just collapse after a few days and the customer thinks, excuse me, and the customer thinks, oh dear, these flowers really aren't very good. So it's a bit of, I wouldn't say it's a worry. It's just something that makes me a little bit nervous. Anyway, it was wonderful to meet Ali. She's one of these incredibly positive, dynamic, absolutely full of life character. And I was blown away by her, just go-getting, ballsy, but in a really good way. And she's very bright and colourful. Just everything about her was just like a ray of light. She was great. So I'm very, very happy to have met her, and I hope we can work together in the future. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about this evening, I listened to a podcast on Monday by Jenny Marks, who has the 6-Figure Flower Farming podcast. Now, if you listen regularly, you will know that I took Jenny's course back in November, December 2025. She does a flower farming business course. Very, very businessy. It's not about how to grow things, nothing to do with seeds or soil or anything like that. It's literally hardcore business, sales, marketing, plans, cost of production, numbers, spreadsheets. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing course. And I paid for the course in installments. So when I yak on about how amazing it is, it's not because I got it for free. It's just because it truly was absolutely amazing. And Jenny does a weekly podcast, comes out every Monday. If you're not listening to it already, I highly recommend you do. She gives away so much information on the podcasts. It's one of the ways I decided that she was going to be the right course for me to go on, because I listened to all of her episodes. Anyway, enough about that. She did a really good episode last Monday. It was episode 109, and it was called Making Money Matters. And I think it's one of Jenny's rawest and most passionate episodes ever. And it really made me sit up straight. It's all about how important it is to make money and why we shouldn't feel guilty about it. And I really, really needed to hear it at this point, because it's something that I am still struggling with in year 2. And she talks about how we feel about making money might actually potentially be holding us back. And making money is a separate issue from pricing, because although it's linked, and as you know, pricing is hard, especially when you're a new grower like me, because I don't have a complete set of cost of production data yet. I'm getting there very slowly with all the data I'm collecting, but I certainly don't have a complete set of that data, and I don't know what other people are charging. And in a way, it doesn't matter what they're charging, because all of my costs and everything is going to be unique to me and my field. And I can, of course, find some prices online, but I can't really use them properly because we can't benchmark against imports. And it's not always easy to find prices from other growers. I also don't know how I add value and how I can actually quantify how much value I can add. I think that's something that I'm learning as time goes on, but certainly at the beginning, very difficult to say that. And I also don't want to underprice or overprice, or I won't sell anything. Like, it's a complete minefield. But there's another really, really massive aspect to this, and that is feeling comfortable asking for money in the first place. Now, I think this is it's a confidence and a competence issue. Because when I started doing gardening jobs, like planting jobs or little design jobs, and when I say design, I don't mean like redesign an entire garden with like paths and landscaping and pergolas and all that. I literally mean just redesigning people's beds and stuff. And people would, I mean, I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I first started, and people would say, oh, this is my budget. And I would spend hours of unpaid time trying to get my numbers for what I could provide to match the budget that they'd given me. Now, I've done so many of them, I can say, nope, I can do this for your budget and this for this amount of money. And the latter is better because, and I explain it, and ultimately they can choose. But I'm absolutely ruthless with the pricing on those jobs, because now I know how much time and labor is involved. So I stick on all the right margins. I add in delivery fees, delivery time, labor time for purchasing a collection, labor time for clearing up and disposing of materials. And it's actually really, really eye-opening how it all adds up. It still shocks me to this day, because when I'm looking at somebody's garden or somebody's bed and thinking, oh, that's probably going to be about 500 quid's worth of plants, by the time you go home and you add absolutely everything on, you can double, triple that because all of the extras add up. And there's no way around that because I don't deliver for free. I don't go and buy things for free. Like, my time is chargeable. And I haven't really had that attitude with the cut flowers. Like, I'm very much getting into it now. And, Jenny talks about it extensively on the course, and it's so important. But I really hadn't realized the significance of that. And it's again, it kind of shocks me how much you do need to charge because of how much time you've spent doing everything. Now, this is one of those double-edged swords, because the end customer might say, well, if you did a more efficient system, if you were faster, if you were better at this, you could bring your costs down, or bring the price to them down. But that wouldn't happen, because the difference between the cost of production and the sales price is profit. So until I am more efficient, the profit takes a hit. I'm not going to charge peanuts for things because there is, a market price for an item. What I have to try and do is make sure that I maximize the profit that I get from that. And one of the things I've been thinking about when I was listening to Jenny's episode is why I think it's so much harder with flowers rather than any other product. So I was thinking, would I feel the same way about this if I was making bricks or road pins or plastic buckets? And I don't think I would, because there's something really emotional about flowers. They're so much a part of our lives in so many ways, not just the births and deaths and marriages and all the rest of it. There's something, primeval's the wrong word, but some kind of connection that we have to flowers that goes back to the dawn of time. And it's almost hard, well, I'm clearly struggling to put a word on that, but hopefully you know what I mean. So there's that connection that we have with this product that I do not have with bricks or road pins. But also, the connection is so much stronger because I'm so invested in these stems that I'm producing. I've had a couple of comments on Instagram, I think in the last week, people saying, I love that you care about what happens to your flowers once they've left. And I love that you refer to them as like your little guys and stuff. And it's because I absolutely do, because I've made them from nothing. So I remember, well, there's a lot of things I don't remember actually about last year and decisions that I've made and don't make, but some things I do remember. And I remember ordering them, choosing them from wherever I bought them from, ordering them, ticking them all off when they arrived, all the planning for how I was going to sow them, the actual sowing of them, the planting of them, all of the care for them. Like, it represents a really long period of time. We're talking maybe, well, at least a year, if not longer, from choosing them to actually cutting and selling them. So it's not the same as buying plants from a wholesaler. So when I do a gardening job and I need, a couple of 100 plants, I go down to the wholesaler, I buy them, I have them delivered. I haven't seen any stage of their growth or development. I just literally see them as they are, and I choose the best ones, and that's it. Off they go. And I put them in the ground, and that's it. Job done. But the cut flowers that I'm growing are a completely different kettle of fish. They feel like a part of me. And the other thing is, of course, I want this enterprise to succeed so much that the pressure to get it right feels so much more intense. And, I don't have all the data I need to make all the calculations yet. And I'm also at the same time trying to build relationships with my florists so that they will buy regularly from me. It's not the same as doing planting jobs when I might never see the client again. Lots of my clients, I do see them again, and I stay in touch and I go back, but there's always some that you do the job and that's it. You're gone, finished. And what Jenny just raised a couple of really, really, well, the entire episode was important, but a couple of really excellent points where, she says it's okay to want to make money. And I really love that because I do feel like I need somebody to say to me, it's okay to want to make money. It's okay to be hungry for the money. Like, this is not just a hobby or a pet project or just some little thing that I'm doing. It's something really, really, really important to me, and I want to make it work. And if you feel like you need a pep talk about being okay wanting to make money, then you absolutely have to listen to this episode. And this conflict that she is seeing and that I feel inside about wanting to make profit and being really focused on that and grinding through the numbers and growing a product that is so tied into our history and has been with us for such a long time. It's like commercializing something that's just really natural. And maybe that is part of where the conflict comes, because I don't feel a natural connection or affinity to road pins as much as I love them. And Jenny also talks about money myths and she debunks them. So if you want to listen to that, I mean, you just need to go and listen to the episode. I definitely needed to hear this, particularly the bit where she talks about how money enables you to help other people, because I had not thought about this in that way. So I'll be honest with you, I'm shockingly bad with money. It slips through my fingers, it races past me. I almost have an aversion to it. I have some significant issues with it. And what I hadn't been focusing on so far in my life is what money actually means rather than the money itself. So, I'm having to refocus my attention on not just the money, but what it actually means and what can be done with it. So that side is really challenging for me. I think also the other thing, and maybe you might relate to this, I don't know, is that this is the first time that I've really sold a product as opposed to selling myself. And I don't mean that in a dodgy way. What I mean is that I have an hourly rate for the gardening work that I do. Before that, when I used to be an employee, I would have, an annual salary, which you can work out what your hourly rate of that is. And people paid me money and they pay for my time. And you have to go and sit in an office from 8 till 6, and they own you for those hours because they're paying you that money. And I'm very comfortable with the concept of, you give me this much money and I'll spend an hour in your garden. But when it comes to selling a product that I've produced, which of course also includes my time, but it's not all about my time. And so this switch to selling a product has not been easy, and sometimes it just doesn't sit comfortably, the money side of it. I'm very comfortable with someone saying, here's the money, come and work for me. But I'm less comfortable saying, this is a product that I'm selling for this price. So, it was a really, really full-on episode, touched a lot of nerves and made me think about a lot of things. I do really recommend you go and listen to it. It did make me squirm quite a bit because I do catch myself doing things and I think, oh God, Jenny would be so cross with me if she saw me doing this right now, because it's not actually bringing in any money. It's a task that I think is probably something I ought to do, but it's not actually bringing in money. And so no matter what scale you're growing at, it's okay to make money. It's okay to make a profit. So do listen to that. I will put the episode details in the show notes. Now, plant profile of the week this week is Agrostemma. And I can't believe I haven't talked about this already, because I've grown an absolute ton of them this year, and it is at the top of my most favourite flowers ever. I'm so obsessed with it. It's not true. It's also known as Corncockle, and it is the prettiest little thing you've ever seen. It's a hardy annual, native to Central and Southern Europe. Now, it's my first year of growing this, and I've got the white one. I cannot remember why I chose to grow it or where I first saw it. So I'm sorry, I can't share that with you, but I'm absolutely head over heels in love with it. I have managed, and I'm going to brag here for a little tiny second, so bear with me. I have managed to get the spacing right. I have got it netted. They are all pointing upright. They are flowering fantastically. I did, I think, 5 batches, so I have this whole bed of it, and it's all just like flowering in order. It's amazing. And when I look at the bed, I actually feel like I know what I'm doing. And I cannot say that for every single crop, but Agrostemma is one where somehow all of the stars aligned. And I'm like, this is clearly what it is supposed to look like, how a bed that is properly spaced and netted and planted and everything is supposed to work. It's so amazing. I'm so proud of myself. But like I say, I cannot say that for a lot of my crops. And if you saw the state of my snapdragons, you'd be horrified. And the zinnias that I planted just before I went away, also horrific. So there are lots of things that have gone very, very squiffy, but I'm very proud of myself for getting the Agrostemma right. And I'm particularly enjoying it because it was very easy to germinate. It wasn't expensive in terms of buying the seed. I do need to improve the germination rate because I sowed 190 and I planted out 123, and I'm not happy about that. But it was an unbelievably easy seed to sow. No wobbles, no dramas. I've just about got the hang of getting the cut stems through the netting. That has slowed me down a little bit on the harvesting because I didn't net anything last year. I could harvest things quite quickly, but I'm finding that the netting is definitely slowing me down a little bit, and I have to be very careful when I cut because I have snipped through the netting a couple of times, which is not a good idea because I'm going to try and leave it in situ so I don't have to go through the netting drama next year. But I've also broken some stems, got things tangled. I mean, some flowers, they just want to tangle. Like they're so naughty. Ami being one, and Daucus. I mean, they only have to look at something and they're tangled up with it. So I have made a few errors with that, but generally speaking, I have managed to get the stems through the netting. It seems completely unfazed by the heat that we've had, and I'm cutting some stems for myself and putting them in vases and just leaving them dotted around just to watch what it does and how it performs and what it does after it's been cut, just so that I have a clue. I don't like sending things out that I don't have much of a clue about, but it's hard when it's the first year that you've grown it. I haven't had any pest problems with it whatsoever, and no pinching is required, which is one less job to do. It's got these wonderful light and airy stems, which are not curvy exactly, but they are not poker straight. They've just got this little tiny little tiny curve to it, and the flowers just sort of float around. It looks incredibly delicate, but the stems are actually pretty robust and they are really long, and I'm very proud of myself for that. It was quite unexpected, really, that I have to say, because some of the things that I have sown this year have been completely outpaced by the things that self-seeded last year. So the Orlia from last year, cornflowers from last year, like 30 feet tall, just like amazing. And then the ones that I've done, disappointing in a way compared to those guys. So if I hadn't had any autumn sowing accidents, I wouldn't have had any comparisons. But now, of course, I have. But these guys, no autumn sowing. I sowed them all at the beginning of March, and then every week starting, I think, from the 6th of March onwards. I will be autumn sowing them this year for 2027, and they are winter hardy annual. I think they get down to -12 they can tolerate, so I'm going to have a go at that and see what happens. They do need full sun, and they certainly get that on the field. They need 6 to 8 hours a day of that, and they're getting more than that at the moment. They don't need any feeding, they don't need too much water, and the only caveat to them, of course, is that they are toxic, so don't be eating the seeds. I mean, I'd love to know if you have children or dogs that go around eating plants. I know I met somebody once whose dog just ate everything in their garden, which was a little bit concerning. Mine's very fussy. She wouldn't bother. In fact, she's too small to reach anything. She's smaller than a cat, so not much danger of that, to be honest. So yeah, I highly recommend Agrostemma. I expect I'm the last person to the table with this flower. I expect everybody is growing it, and I'm the only one, and then I'm talking about it like it's the next best thing. But I have literally only just got on board with it and absolutely love it. So on that note, it is, what is it now? 1:45 now. So I'm going to go and wind down for the evening. I'm going to upload this episode and wish you all the very best for a wonderful weekend. In the UK, we are still having a few more hot days. Not, I think, as hot as today. Might be 1 degree cooler tomorrow, which is something, I suppose. But I will be very busy on the field this weekend, moving water around. So wish me luck, because I do not want to have an argument with my other half, because I really need his help this weekend. So I will have to be on my very best behaviour so I don't upset him. I will fill you in on Tuesday. Please come back and join me for the next episode. You are always very welcome. All the best.